there'd be a lot of poop in my case. I've seen a 6-foot alligator go swinging through the air and slam into a tree.
These guys are the scientists of the supernatural, lecturers leaving lessons for inquiring laymen. They are applying the scientific method to a world that baffles science. They are the cryptids of the corn.
But who else has big black wings and red eyes?
Batman.
Oh, Mothman.
Oh yeah, Mothman.
A great white shark was stolen.
Oh, someone stole a shark?
I got stuff for you don't even know about.
She's a witch. She turned me into a newt.
Who knows? Anything could be possible. Anything could be possible.
It's really big abduction vibes.
Holy moly.
It sounds like you were abducted.
And it just stood up. I mean, it just like kept going and going. And she goes, what the?
Hello, and welcome back to Cryptids of the Corn podcast.
Yeah.
I am the great and Ursine mystery.
Great and what?
Ursine.
What's that?
You'll learn in a little bit.
Oh, I am J Clone 64 and I am ready to learn today.
What the word Ursine means?
Yeah. What is that?
You'll learn.
Yeah, I'm ready to
I
learn.
thought you'd know what the word Ursine meant.
Ursine? Mm-hmm. No. Yeah, I got nothing.
We're looking at this week at man bear pigs.
Excelsior.
No, giant bears.
Oh.
Specifically, they're referred to as bulldog bears or human-faced bears.
Or man bear pigs?
Or man bear pigs.
No. Human-faced pigs? Is that what you said?
Bears.
Or bears, sorry.
Human-faced pigs is a different episode.
Thing. Yeah.
No, they get called pigs sometimes as in the more like boar shaped, not like domestic pig shaped.
Okay.
But big haunches on the shoulders. These are giant bears.
Okay.
But specifically, we're focusing on the man-faced bears, not the giant polar bears.
Okay.
Because there is a whole different subset of giant polar bear sightings. Which is another episode. This will probably be 2 or 3 parts.
Does a short-faced bear fall into this?
We'll talk about that in about 45 minutes.
Okay. All right.
Oh my gosh, I hate you sometimes.
Well, I thought that was that's a famous one.
Yes. No. Oh my gosh. Bringman's bear is what we're going to talk about first.
Okay, Bringman's.
So we have I have a couple really small cases of what seems to be giant grizzly bear or weird deformed giant bears from around the world.
Okay.
So Bringman's bear is also known as god bear or Ursus arcticus perescor is the scientific name it was assigned.
Yikes.
Is a possibly extinct cryptid bear native to Russia.
Oh, okay.
So possibly extinct, but it's a cryptid bear native to Russia.
Okay.
In 1920, Swedish zoologist Sten Bringman, I think it's Bringman, I think is how it's going to be said, was given the opportunity to examine a hide of a giant bear. It was a black furred variety of, here's a word for you.
Ursine?
No. Kamachinkapi pied bear.
Oh, one of them. Okay.
Yeah, so it's one of the native Russian cultures. It's their word for it.
Okay.
Bringman, who had spent 2 years studying the wildlife of this area, it's a region in Russia.
Okay.
It's a peninsula. So noted the pelt was far beyond the size of any other bear found in the area. So this is like one of these stories, and I'll read the full story, and it's not much. There's not much more than what I just said. A lot of these stories are very small. It's big weird bear seen, killed, whatever.
Yeah.
There's not a lot to go on. A lot of them are older, which points to this maybe being a species that existed that has recently gone extinct.
Okay.
Or is on the verge of extinction.
Right. It's on that. Yeah. It's red listed for sure.
I will say that peninsula bears are often the biggest bears on the planet.
Is that is Kodiak that's an island?
Kodiak's an island, but it is the peninsula.
It's right there.
Yeah. And they have the biggest bears on the planet.
In Alaska?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's grizzlies, there's Kodiaks, and they're all subset species of brown bear.
Okay.
But there's even the Iranian brown bear. So brown bears were native the whole planet.
Everywhere.
The northern hemisphere.
Yeah.
Including some of the subtropical Africa and stuff like that. Which, it's crazy.
Nundy bear?
The Nundy bear. No, so this, Any questions so far?
Oh, no. I'm ready.
Just kind of a neat thing. So the sighting is 1920. Swedish zoologist Stan was given the opportunity to examine this hide of this giant black fur bear. He spent years studying the wildlife of this area. He noted the pelt was far beyond the size of bears.
Mm-hmm.
The hair covering the skin was short, inconsistent with the long hair associated with the normal bears of the area.
Okay.
So that was the first weird thing.
The first curveball.
The hair was much shorter and more coarse than the local Ursine bears.
Okay.
Ursine just means bear, just so you know.
Oh, okay. That's what that word means.
Yeah. Ursine is bear. Like Ursa Major and Ursa Minor.
Oh, okay. Oh, Big Dipper,
Little Dipper. They're Big Bear, Little Bear.
Yeah. Didn't know that.
Yeah. He also described the paws being humongous, measuring 14.5 inches by 10 inches.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
Suggesting monstrous bears he called Ursa arcus perensier, more commonly referred to as Bringman's bears. So he was studying this area. He had this pelt come in.
Mm-hmm.
The skull wasn't with it, but it was way, way bigger than the bears in the area, which the bears are already huge.
Yeah.
Also going out, he found paw prints that were just
massive,
humongous compared to other local bear populations.
Wow.
So he gave them a scientific name, and he was just kind of going that these bears were very low in population and very rare.
Yeah.
But they're there. Keep in mind, this is a zoologist doing this study. People were bringing him associated research with this. However, some suggest that Bringman's bear may be alive, he thinks it was on the edge of extinction. Some, though, suggest that Bringman's bear is alive and well, living in the remote areas of the Kamachurata area.
Right. Nailed it.
In a book called Bears of the World, published in 1988, Terry D'Amaco observed a variety of the vast majority of these bears had been closed off since the Cold War for military reasons. So this population of bears had been closed off since the Cold War.
Okay.
So nobody's got to go in and study since the 1960s.
Gotcha. Okay.
So in his book, he's like,
it's a lot of mystery here.
they could still be a separate population of bears that we don't know.
Right.
A former Soviet officer who had access to the area told the author that the giant black bears were still reported in the region.
And this had black fur, you said, right? Yeah.
But short black fur versus the other bears there were giant long-furred grizzlies.
Right.
Or brown bears.
Aren't black bears don't they always have short fur?
Shorter.
I mean,
they're small. Generally, black bears are smaller than grizzlies.
Right.
Our biggest black bears are 600 pounds, and the smallest grizzlies are 600 pounds.
Exactly, yeah.
So where was I? So interest in these bears was revitalized in the 1960s. Hunter Roldan Savabovich reported claims that these natives had seen the unusually large bears, and they called them either Incarums, roughly meaning trouser pulled down, due to their appearance of the bear's hind legs, or god bears due to their large size.
Okay.
So these guys are reported they have their back legs are much shorter than their front legs, even for bears.
Okay.
So they're
even more exaggerated.
Yeah. So their name is pants pulled down.
Right.
Because they kind of the way they waddle.
Yeah. It's good. That's a good little nickname.
They're also called god bears because they'll kill you.
Quite opposite nicknames, but
this is the same region when we did our living mammoths episode.
Okay. The same area.
Yeah. Well, very close.
Okay.
To where this area is hard to get to. It sucks to live there. It's super remote, and there's just small native peoples still, like small populations of native peoples.
And that's it,
yeah. And hunters going in.
Yeah.
These hunters from areas. So this hunter that he got to talk to, the Soviet, this ex-Soviet, was, saying that, they're still seen there, whatever these bears are.
Right.
And that was in what did I just say?
I can't remember if you said it.
The 1960s.
60s, yeah, right after it opened back up. Or no.
Right before it closed down.
Right before it closed down, that's what it was, yeah.
So as going into the Cold War, they were saying, yes, they're still seeing these bears.
Right.
And nobody's really, even to the modern day, nobody's really gone back in this area.
Really?
Because it sucks.
Well, yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
And it's in Russia. And it sucks.
Yeah.
It just sucks. The whole thing getting there sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what's the, I can't always forget it, that weird alien complex with the big brass domes that's sinking into the swamp.
Up, yeah, in the northern, Siberia.
And everybody's like, why did nobody go there? Because it sucks. I don't care what time of year you go. If you go when it's not frozen, it's hundreds of miles of wetland.
Right, exactly.
You cannot walk through it.
And you probably need
cannot drive
a guide. You need government clearance to get into it.
If you go in the winter, you'll die.
Yeah. It's like same thing with that cave where they found that Denisovan finger bone.
Cave, yeah.
I think I was
11-day truck ride.
Yeah, and that's
if I remember,
with a guide. With someone knowing exactly where they're going,
not
what
roads.
they're doing. No, not at all. So yeah, it's some of this.
I think that's what's lost a lot about some of these Russian and even the Yukon.
Oh yeah,
we have a couple Yukon listeners, and they were talked about how rural, like they live in the Yukon.
Yeah,
and there's just hundreds of millions of acres
of just nobody
you cannot get to.
Yeah,
you can't go into. You'll die.
Yeah,
you will die
if you don't know what you're doing.
I mean, even people that know what they're doing
still die.
They still die.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was kind of interesting. This is kind of our first step into the god bear or these giant bears.
Okay. Specifically,
not the giant polar bears, like I've said before.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's a weird whole subset. I was going to combine it in this episode, but there's enough there to do its own thing.
Okay.
So what's your first thoughts of this giant Russian bear?
That's pretty. Well, I think you hit all the points where there was historical evidence of them. Physical with the pelt that this guy has examined, the physical footprints he had seen, the actual measurements of its hands, but then with it going into I don't know, information secrecy behind the Iron Curtain after the 1960s. No one's there researching this. No one's there to know whether these things still are there or they are extinct or if they're flourishing in some small population.
So here's the weird thing with bears is, as far as bears aren't apex predators, truly. They're almost all species of bears, except polar bears, are omnivores.
Right.
Polar bears, and if I may be wrong, but I'm 99% sure I'm correct on this, are the only exclusively carnivore species of bear on the planet left.
Which makes sense.
Because they don't have plants where they
exactly.
live.
Yeah.
I'm sure if they had option to eat blueberries,
they would do it.
They would eat blueberries.
Yeah.
But they don't have option. That's why they're so big.
It's either eat ice or seals and penguins.
In whales.
Yeah. They eat whales?
Yeah, so beluga whales, there's that,
Like if they wash up or something?
No, they get trapped in the ice flows.
Oh.
And then that's when polar bears hunt them.
Oh, man.
It's not easy.
Oh, no.
We just talked about this, like polar bears hunting walruses, and it's like, people think walruses are gigantic, which they are.
They are.
But they don't understand how big elephant seals are.
Yeah.
And we just talked about the biggest walrus is still a third the size of the average adult elephant seal.
They're so big.
Male.
Yeah. The bulls.
Yeah. Yeah, because, they're massive.
So
10,000 pounds.
So big.
They're size of elephants.
Size of your bus.
They are, actually.
Yeah.
They're almost the same length and almost the same weight.
It's like driving an elephant seal down the road.
that needs to be on the back of the bus.
Just a big elephant seal.
This is the same size and weight of an elephant seal.
That, or like someone mentioned,
that'd be a weird fact.
The Dumb and Dumber bus or truck.
Yeah.
Turn it into a dog. We'll just turn the bus into an elephant seal.
There you go.
We'll get the big skin.
Nice. So that's his first kind of bear, though.
Okay.
The next one is McFarlane's bear or McFarlane. Well, you know this story.
Probably. You have to tell me.
With the exception of unconfirmed sightings, McFarlane's bear is sometimes thought to have a species that has gone extinct. It's a bear that was shot in 1864. This specimen was obtained in 1864. There have been many theories concerning the origins of McFarlane's bear, which include suggestions of a polar bear grizzly hybrid or surviving representative of a Pleistocene species.
This does sound vaguely familiar. Why do I know this? Is it from a previous episode or something?
The tribes from the area where this bear was shot, they are Inuit tribes. They often tell stories of humongously aggressive bears, so huge and aggressive bears that collapse people's roofs in.
Jeez.
So it often will get on top of a roof and push through to open up.
Like a polar bear does.
Yes.
Yeah.
But being a brown bear.
Yeah. Oh, man.
In 1864, Inuit hunters shot and killed an enormous bear. It was yellow-furred, though. They gave the skull. The story is kind of wish-washy.
Okay.
It's very old, and so when we told the story first, Robert McFarlane shot the bear himself.
Okay.
He was a naturalist that would go in on his own plane and stuff to these areas that were pretty much desolate.
Mm-hmm.
And this version of the story, the Inuits killed it, and he was given the pelt and the skull.
Okay.
So the skull was unlike anything the naturalist had ever seen. McFarlane shipped the skull in the skin to the Smithsonian.
Okay, now I know this story.
Where it was placed in storage and lost.
And now, is this the same one that was?
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll tell. There's several versions of the story.
Okay.
There's one I think happened, and then there's this one.
Yeah.
This one was included in a Smithsonian report about giant bears.
This was included?
Yeah, this version of the story.
Oh, okay. This version.
Eventually, Dr. Clinton Hart uncovered the remains, which he thought were shot very far outside the brown bear range, and realized that it wasn't a brown bear at all. And in 1918, it was described as a specimen that was a new species, calling it an extinct unexpected bear. It's Ursa arceus imperatus, which just means extinct unexpected bear.
Okay.
There's a lot with this story. First, the guy, McFarlane, is our famous, turned the bear in, got the ticket, and then the Smithsonian's like, we lost it.
Right.
And gave him back a brown bear.
And he had all the dimensions and everything supposedly on it, measured. And
this pelt and skull was humongous, and the skull was supposed to be short like a bulldog.
yeah.
So he gave it back. Dr. Clinton Hart was one of the ones that realized that it wasn't a brown bear.
Okay.
Much later. Then they gave it its own scientific name. The scientists after him said, no, it is a brown bear, and they gave the skull back to the public.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it was like a third the size.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a lot of, this is that bad story.
Man. Yeah.
Where he had the ticket, and the Smithsonian said, no, it was at another museum, and all this weird, crazy stuff. We've shared this story 100 times.
He went round and round and round, got to run around every time until they finally found it, quote unquote, and then gave it back to him, and it was not the same skull he had initially submitted.
Yeah. So like I said, a lot of these are small. Like, there's not a lot to them. And this comes at a time where, if you want to believe these bears exist, they probably are very low in numbers at the turn of the century, from the 18s to 19s, which most of these stories come from. They're from very, very remote areas, which would make a lot of sense. Dale Durnan I'm going to use a lot of his research for this next little bit.
Okay.
So I just want to give him credit because he did this big paper, involved some of Lauren Coleman's stories from here in the U.S. and around the world with giant bears. So I'm using a lot of his.
Okay.
So like I said, I pulled a lot of this from his reports. In 1967 in Kentucky, a mysterious creature that walked on its hind legs and stood between 6 and 7 foot tall was started killing and stealing cattle. This is in his words. I had read this in an account in a Scholastic magazine that was sent into a report to SITU. At the time, I had received a reply. It sounds as though you are talking about an ABSM. And sure enough, it was eventually included in mysteriously Bigfoot. Basically, Bigfoot. It's just an acronym for Bigfoot-like creature.
Okay.
Sightings included in John Keel's Mysterious Beings. So, formerly strange creatures from time and space.
ABSM. Hey, I think we have that book.
Yeah, we do. It's over there.
Yeah.
So this was sent in, and it was kind of included into Bigfoot-like creatures.
ABSM, a Bigfoot Sasquatch man.
There you go.
Yeah.
So he listed under the Kentucky 1967, only that's not the whole story. The creature had been caught and killed and was reported to have been both cat and dog-like features, a short or some sort of short-faced bear.
I'm getting other vibes though.
That weighed, it's not, don't ruin anything. That weighed around 650 pounds is my only reason it's not the other thing you're thinking of.
But it just could be a bigger version of that.
It was clearly not a black bear.
Right.
So in John Keel's book, whether he didn't get the full report or he didn't include the full report, the report did say that the local people had killed the thing.
Okay.
That was stealing their cows.
Yeah.
And it had cat and dog like features, but they thought it was some kind of bear. It just was not a black bear.
Yeah.
Later on, a lot of the locals said it was a grizzly. They'd never seen a grizzly though. They just knew that was the only other
type
big
of
bear in
yeah.
North America.
Yeah.
It weighed 650 pounds, which would have rivaled the biggest black bears ever on record.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And most of those bears that are 650 pounds are belly draggers,
So okay.
garbage bears.
Yeah.
And killing and stealing cattle I'm not saying a black bear can't kill and steal cattle.
But a garbage bear.
A garbage bear is probably not doing that.
Right. Yeah. Too much work at that point.
Yeah. Once again, the author. When I had a radio interview with the Oompa Loompa Cafe some years back, the owner of the internet cafe said that they had heard this incident because they had lived near the area at the time. The animal had been baited out by a calf tied to a stake and was shot when it came for the calf. Rick Osman, owner of the blog, gave the native name for the creature on air, what sounded like wood or wog, like W-O-D or W-O-G.
Okay.
They couldn't quite understand it on the radio call.
Wad or
Yeah.
wog.
At any rate, his recollection confirmed mine and much important the new clippings from this on this subject.
Wog.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Very bear-like, and I know you're thinking hyena.
Yeah, I was.
And I don't think it was just because of the size. And
Oh,
this is in 1967.
You know what else it could be? Wait, where's this happen? Where'd this happen again?
Kentucky.
Oh, okay. This also made me think the Raccoon Man.
Now, I can see that. Raccoon man, dog, that thing.
Yeah.
I kind of lean towards the bear.
Just being a bear?
It's a very unique bear.
Okay.
But this is also in the 1967. This ain't that.
It's not that long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it was, everything's pretty modern. Why I don't think it was a hyena is I think they would have known because they killed it.
Yeah, maybe.
Somebody looking at the body of this thing
Yeah.
would have known it was a hyena, especially later on. Because like you said, there's still, when this guy was interviewing people, there were still living eyewitnesses. The one guy ran an internet cafe.
That had seen it when it was still alive. Okay.
And, going into modern ages with information, I'm sure he'd seen pictures of hyenas by that time.
You would, yeah, I mean.
And been like, okay, we shot and killed a hyena.
Yeah. I guess you never know.
That's just why I'm going maybe not a hyena.
True. And,
A lot of eyewitnesses.
When was Roosevelt president? I forget the years.
1902 or something like that.
Oh, was that early?
Yeah.
So, I mean.
70 years prior.
Yeah. I guess that's quite a bit, but.
Not saying that there's modern hyena sightings. I mean, there's a documentary coming out about it.
True. By
There's a plug.
Yours truly, Lawn Chair Documentaries. Check us out on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Shameless, plug. And shameful too.
So, but I could see it being dog. But I guess my thing is this very short, heavy skull is what was confusing people.
Okay.
Very short-finished bear.
Yeah, I was going to say on the last one. Has it been 45 minutes yet?
21.
Okay, so
The next,
a little early.
The next one is another from his, is the booger bears.
Ooh.
Now, there's not a lot about these booger bears.
Booger bears, huh?
Yeah. And booger is like, the wood boogers, Bigfoot. But there's all kinds of boogers as far as in North American cryptids. It's just kind of a name that gets associated with the boogeyman-like creatures.
Okay.
So these scary things of Appalachian and Southern U.S. traditions.
Yeah.
They get associated with the word booger, which means in in European and stuff like that is like a spirit.
Yeah.
Like we said with Geist or Gaster.
Okay.
With Snallygaster.
Yeah.
It means spirit or ghost.
Okay.
Even though the Snallygaster wasn't a ghost, it was a word associated with the paranormal.
Right. What if it came from a ghostly world?
So Ivan T. Sanderson mentioned in his Living Mammals of the World that the early settlers of the West were calling a grizzly bear was a specialized predator on the bison in the High Plains area. A much different and much larger bear than what one would expect to be called a grizzly. So these people he was talking to in the West were calling something a grizzly bear
Yeah.
that was much bigger than a grizzly bear. It was not behaving like one.
Okay.
Grizzly bear they'll tackle moose calves and elk, small elk and stuff like that. They aren't going to go after, I don't care an adult bison. That's not in a fight they're going to win.
They're not going to even attempt it?
I mean, it would be very specialized conditions.
Yeah.
Like
backed
I'm sure
into a
they'll eat
corner.
bison calves.
Yeah.
Or I guess, a starving animal is a starving animal. It'll do whatever.
Right, yeah.
This thing was specialized in eating bison.
Okay.
So to me, that speaks to a much different animal.
Because bison's not a small
No,
thing to tackle.
and they're very aggressive.
Yeah.
It's not like, moose and elk. I've seen big grizzly bears trying to take a moose calf and not dealing with a moose very well, an adult moose.
Oh, gotcha, yeah. It's almost like bison, it's almost like you need a U.S. Army to wipe them all out. So
It happened.
to starve people.
It happened.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So it appeared to be killing off a lot of bison in this area. These people referring to this grizzly bear-like creature in the West. It was getting to be a problem.
What a mythical, creature to hunt.
A bison?
No, the thing killing them.
Oh, yeah. If you just see something carrying off a bison, that's not good.
No, you either have two reactions.
That's a dragon.
Yeah, you have two reactions to that. Either one, turn around and run, burn the whole area down and never come back. Or two, I need that thing mounted on my wall.
So a lot of people call this a monkey-like bear, though.
Monkey bears.
Or it almost had a more human face.
Ooh, okay.
Now, the author connects it also to bulldog bear sightings. So these bulldog bears were from the north, northern British Columbia, the Northern Territories, Alberta, Saskatchewan.
Okay.
And these were reported to carry off entire moose.
Jeez.
So, you know.
And if you don't know how big a moose is, I mean,
2,500 pounds. They're the biggest they are still, I think, the biggest land mammal in North America.
I would be shocked if anything rivals that.
Well, bison would be the only thing that rivals it in weight.
True. In weight, yeah. But moose are taller and
I
longer.
think moose are the heaviest. I'd have to look it up here in a second. But so this bulldog bear in the Northern Territories was reportedly attacking and killing adult moose and carrying them off.
Jeez.
Like I just said, you know, adult grizzly bears are having trouble stealing calves.
Yeah.
Let alone taking an adult
moose, yeah. Good Lord.
So it is presumed that these reports were related to surviving Arcturus, the short-faced bear.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of weird that the range of the grizzly bear bison eater and these bulldog bears are kind of, when you put them side by side, they connect.
Right, yeah.
So it's like a big, massive range.
Right.
And different
names,
Yeah.
but similar features.
So from the west to the Midwest to all the way to the north.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts so far?
I mean, I'm really honing in on short-faced bear right now. That's what's speaking to me. What?
And then once again, this also has a lot of similarities to the god bear or the pants pulled down bear.
Yeah. Mega fauna bear. Ancient bear.
Ursa simois is the short-faced bear.
Ooh, okay.
Now let's see if you can say it right.
Okay.
It's italicized down there.
At the bottom, I see it. Actrotus simus.
There you go. Actrotus, is that what you're going with?
Actrotus, yeah, that's what I went with. Actrotus simus.
Just make it up. That's what I learned with scientific names a long time ago.
I think they made them up to begin with.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Nobody speaks Latin. That's why they picked it.
Right, exactly.
So nobody can correct them.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no one living today that's like, no, that's actually the wrong dialect.
So in South America, there's another similar monster.
Ooh, okay.
The red mountain bear.
Ooh, that sounds scary.
Why these are smaller? They're reddish in color, and they're from the mountains of Cambodia. They're well known to the natives.
Wait a minute. Cambodia, that's
Colombia and Peru.
Okay. I was like, that's not South America.
There's also known as pygmy brown bears. So these aren't a documented species.
They are or aren't? Aren't. Okay.
The weird thing about these pygmy brown bears is they're also known to punch the roofs in houses to eat the people inside.
Ooh.
Just like
the one from earlier.
Russian species.
Yeah.
Both animals are possibly color variants of the speculated bear. They're descendants of the ancient short-faced bear. So speculated bear is one of the most aggressive bears on the planet.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're much smaller. They're small. They're a small bear, but they're hyper aggressive and they're related to short-faced bears.
Are they the black ones with the longer fur?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I've seen videos of them before.
There's sun bears, which are from India, which are the most aggressive bear on the planet.
Yeah.
Speculated bears they look similar, and they're also hyper aggressive.
Okay. Well, I've seen one of those too.
The Milan from Peru, Colombia, and Bolivia is described as an enormous black bear.
Ooh, just like the Russian one.
Living in the deep jungles. It's also the one in now I forgot. The bulldog bear is also said to be black.
Oh, okay.
Living in South America. The most famous encounter was with the famed explorer Leonard Clark in 1946. While floating down the Ucayali River in eastern Peru, he first came across the animal's footprints on the riverbank, measuring 14 inches long and 10 inches wide.
It's the exact same as the what's the first guy? What was his name?
The hunter.
Yeah, the Swedish guy.
Oh, no, yeah. Stan.
Yeah, it was same measurements he took.
Exact. Isn't that weird, huh? I wonder why I included that. So he said they resembled that of a giant man.
Man, bear, pig.
Well, you know what bears are famous for?
Standing up and
the
look
double
like...
step.
Oh, okay.
Causing their footprints to look very human.
Human-like, yep.
The second day, he found the source of the strange tracks. As he floated down the river, he passed what he described as a humongous black bear, clawing apart a rotting tree infested with ants in order to get to the larva. So very bear-like behavior.
Yep.
As they passed, one of the crew members sharply slapped the paddle in the water, startling the bear that leapt into the river and began to swim across.
Screw that.
As the raft neared the bear, it turned and swam towards them.
Okay, you're dead.
You know, most bears will take off.
Right, yeah.
This is coming at you. Either because it was curious, angry, or wanted to claw them apart. When the bear was within 3 feet of the raft, the crew leapt overboard.
What?
In knowing that the animal would upset the craft. Leonard shot it with his pistol. Without his crew, unfortunately, Leonard could not drag the bear's carcass aboard before the piranhas started feeding on it, and this was forced to abandon the specimen.
So he shot it with a pistol and killed it, and his crewmates jumped out of the boat?
First, all the people were abandoning the boat.
Okay.
Because they knew they were familiar with this creature. When it decided to eat something,
it's going to eat it.
Yeah. So they were hoping that it decided that it was on the raft.
Okay.
So they're like, let's abandon what it wants.
Okay.
They weren't used to having guns, though. And he emptied his pistol into it.
Yeah, he'd have to
At
kill
3
it.
foot.
Yeah, you'd have to.
Now, you know, it depends on where you shoot a bear. You can drop them with the 22. Like a lot of those guys that hunt polar bears hunt with 22s.
Really?
Yeah. They shoot them in the eye socket.
Yeah.
And they just fall. If you miss and hit the skull,
yeah,
you have a very mad bear.
Yeah. Gosh, dang. So he killed it, and then he couldn't drag the specimen on the land to, I guess, observe it.
Right. And, you know, that's very cryptid.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah. You know, it's a fun story.
No, yeah, very much so, yeah.
To me, it was weird that it was a giant black bear.
Not like brown or
because a lot of the
reddish
bears, well, yeah, a lot of the speculated bears have a lot of color patterns to them and stuff like, you know, to me, it would be like, I seen a giant speculated bear.
Yeah.
It just was odd to me that's why it kind of stuck out that it was a giant
black bear. Yeah. There might be some, I mean, obviously after all these examples, it seems like there's some giant black bear that is still existing on Earth and apparently all over.
So I have a little bit more for you.
Okay.
The yucca.
Like the root?
Yeah, kind of spelled like that.
Okay.
It's sometimes called the Yucamara or the Yucamara zapiri.
Okay.
Is a reported ape-like or Bigfoot-like creature that lives in the mountainous region in and around Chile and Argentina.
Okay.
So very, very South America.
Right, yep.
Live in the mountainous regions there. Its name is unfortunately ambiguous and can be referred to as a bear or bear-like monkey or monkey-like bear or bear man. The boogie bear are also, you know, translations for this creature.
Right.
So its name is very hard to pin down. Is it Bigfoot or is it a bear?
Bear, yeah. Specifically, what's it translate to? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it.
The yucca is described as being that of the size of an extremely large dog, but it can walk erect. According to the natives of the yucca, it likes to eat pyro, a plant that is an inside are similar to that of cabbage. It emits a sound like yua, 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 which Ivan T. Sanderson compared to the noise reported by Albert Ostman, who claimed to have been, you know, held captive by a family of Sasquatch in 1924.
Yep.
Here's a weird thing. Bears and gorillas both make a very similar sound. That was reported this.
Okay.
So did King Kong in 1933 in his movie. They used both bear and gorilla sounds for him. Because bears do make a lot of sounds that are similar to that of apes.
Like a bellowing, like, roar?
They can even kind of talk.
Oh, okay.
There was that famous talking bear from Russia. It was like one of the sideshow things. It was just a bear making noise, but it was humanish enough. So can seals. You ever heard of Henry the Talking Seal?
I have not.
He was a seal that could answer all your questions.
What would he say?
Like, hello, Henry. It sounded like a person. It's weird. I'll play it for you sometime.
That's weird.
That may be a Wednesday episode whenever we stop getting submissions.
Henry the Talking Seal? Mm-hmm. Okay.
One of the first documented sightings of the yucca took place in May of 1958. Why I mean document as in white people.
Okay. Put it down on paper.
Mm-hmm. When a group of campers in Rango, 50 miles of Santiago, Chile, reported that they saw what could only be described as a ape man. The police were called to investigate. They took reports from the eyewitnesses, and one of which is Carlo Manuel Santo, was swore that he had seen an enormous man covered with hair in the area. This is a hard one because they're calling it the same name.
Yeah.
Ape man, there's a bear ape-faced bear is also referred to a lot.
Yeah.
Where it stands up, but it runs away on all fours. It's very hard to tell if this is a Bigfoot or a giant bear.
Bear, yeah.
In 1956, geologist Aldio Pitch found 17-inch long human-like tracks in Argentina in the Andes Mountains at the height of over 16,000 feet. So there's not a lot living up there.
No.
I know this mountain range pretty good because it's the Andes condors.
Okay.
It's about their only place that they still have a stronghold. If you go up there, it's volcanic rock. There's nothing up there.
Okay.
It's like misty. It's a very desolate place, especially at that altitude.
It's a desert up there,
Yeah.
pretty much.
It's not a great place. Condors live up there because they fly down to eat.
Yeah, and they're safe up there. Nothing's
Yeah.
going to mess with them, except a volcano erupting.
Yeah. But I mean, it doesn't matter if you live in the area.
Or not, yeah.
But yeah, he's seen these giant footprints. They were similar to, Sasquatch tracks in North America and all this.
Yeah.
He also described a chorus of eerie calls every night.
This is giving me definitely more Sasquatchy vibes
Yeah.
than it is bear.
And I think that's the problem with these is it's the same name,
Yeah.
but in their same region, the Uka or the it can be all kinds of different things.
Uka, Yuka.
The Yucca Marara, and it's just is it ape-like bear or bear-like
They're like
ape?
ape, yeah.
So that's giant bears from around the world.
And it's crazy. I mean, and you hit one on pretty much every continent except Antarctica and Australia.
Yeah, I left Africa,
Oh, yeah, true. But yeah.
but the Nundy bear is something different.
Yeah.
Africa doesn't have a big and we talked about it in the Nundy bear episode.
Yeah.
Is Africa doesn't have a big population of bears.
Right.
As far as I know, the Middle Eastern brown bear, I remember that was the only one, and they're barely into Africa.
Right, yeah. And it's shocking, like South America doesn't really either, but
They have bear species.
some, yeah.
It just sucks to live there for a bear.
But
A lot of competition for omnivore positions.
And it's pretty amazing if someone did witness a giant black, this same creature. I feel like it's the same creature, whatever
Very,
it is.
very similar across the board.
Yeah. And I wonder if it's like convergent evolution or if it is the same.
So let's talk about what's happening.
Okay.
So I have a list of stuff for you.
Ooh, okay.
Genotypes.
Yeah.
So what this means, once again, a genotype is a genetic profile. So many species can have different genotypes within their individual. Like there's a couple fish species we talked about specifically that have, depending on how much food is available, the mother can kind of decide what her eggs will be, the small genotype
Yeah.
or the large genotype.
Genotype or phenotype?
Oh, that's phenotype.
Okay.
You're right. Sorry. You corrected me. There
I
you
was
go.
thinking, wait, when you were saying, I'm like, wait a minute.
Phenotype or genotype,
Yes.
both. That they could have different genes or this different phenotype.
Phenotypes, yeah.
Phenotype. I wrote down the wrong one.
Different expressions of these
same
genes.
traits.
Yeah.
So this could be every once in a while a giant bear is born. These are just
Yeah.
truly grizzlies or
Just
they're truly
one of the-
black bears, and they have a phenotype that expresses as a giant.
Yeah. Which we see that all across nature.
Yeah, there's tons of examples of this. Or just freaks of nature is what they're called. You
Yeah.
know, but they're still the same genes.
What is that, what do you think, that's an old gene that's like coming back or?
Could be, or it could just be like king bears. Or a lot of these species, sauropods, we think had this.
Just has the one, where the one takes over the,
Yeah,
and it just grows big.
it grows a lot bigger than everybody else.
Yeah.
And it uses some kind of pheromone suppression to keep the other ones from expressing that phenotype.
Yeah.
But when it dies, the next biggest one will take hold and grow gigantic.
It fills the niche.
So that's one. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, that can very well be part of the phenomena. Like you just happen to see that one bear, but I almost feel like if whatever these things are spread out. Well, I guess
It could
for
also
that
be
very
a
reason.
genotype, a freak gene, like for whatever, like you were saying, this ancient genome
That just
that
comes
kicks
back,
forward
gets
every
expressed.
once- every once in a while.
Skips like 8 generations.
So that, yeah.
Yeah.
They're all carrying that genotype,
Right.
but it gets expressed randomly.
Right. Yeah.
And we can talk about that with chickens. So we've gone in their genes and turned back on prehistoric ones where they grow tails and grow
Really?
teeth. Yeah.
Why are we doing that?
To show that it's possible. That they're still carrying traits of their ancestors that are just turned off.
Gotcha. Okay. I
Yeah.
don't
So
like-
what
I
are
don't like
you
that.
going with that one? Yay or nay?
Oh yeah, yay for sure, yay. I think it plays part of it.
Gigantism is my next one,
Oh, just
which is a little different.
Right.
It's a genetic disorder,
Yep. Yeah.
and where these things often have very short lifespans. They're often very different. And you look, Andre's our famous human example,
Right,
of
Andre
a
the Giant.
type of gigantism. What was the Asian man that got like 9 foot tall?
Like, what do you mean?
He's in Ripley's Believe It or Not. Like,
Oh,
the tallest man ever.
you're right. Yes. I don't remember his name, but I know what you're talking about.
There's that famous picture of Shaq next to him. Like his model.
Right. Yeah.
And Shaq looks tiny.
Yeah. He dwarfs Shaq.
And he had health problems and died, very young.
And then same with that Robert Wadlow from Illinois, even like pretty close to us.
I thought he was from Kentucky.
Was he? No, that was another guy. That was the.
But giants don't live. At least giantism. Humans don't live.
Right.
The problem is
yeah.
the organs are the same size.
Yeah. Is that the big?
That's the big problem. Is the heart.
The heart is
the same size.
Is it? I thought it just was like it would grow it was trying to pump so much blood around that.
That's the problem.
It grew too muscular.
Well, no, it gets disshapen because the muscles are struggling.
Yeah.
The heart is the same size as it's like you're born with a normal human heart.
Okay.
And it doesn't match the body that it grows into.
It's trying to,
And so it's working double time
to pump all that blood around. Yeah. Man.
So that's kind of the one is that they're gigantism.
Just gigantism. Oh yeah. Okay.
Freaks of nature.
Yeah. It happens. It just happens in nature.
My big against that is why is it across the board?
Yeah.
Gigantism is rare. Why we see it so many times in people and think about it, it's a handful.
Right.
A handful of people. It's because there's 8 billion of us.
Right. Exactly. That's a lot.
And I can't think of any modern true giants.
No.
With gigantism.
It's hard.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Since one's been in the public eye.
That's the main thing is just whether they're put out in the public eye. Because a lot of the times they're not, unless they're like a basketball player or something.
It would be weird to me that this has been reported so many times for it to be gigantism.
Right, yeah. I agree with you on that.
Hybrids.
Ooh.
So blondie bears are, these Pisleys are grizzly polar bear hybrids.
Yep.
A guy recently, but got in a lot of trouble because he was hunting grizzlies and he killed one. And I believe it was Alaska.
It wasn't a grizzly, was it?
He got it in, and he got in trouble for killing a polar bear.
Yeah.
And he thought it was a weird-looking bear. Like, when after he killed, he shot it from 600 yards or what, something crazy.
Right, yeah.
And it was brown.
Right.
It's where he was. Grizzlies are brown.
Brown, yeah.
White polar bears are white.
Exactly.
So you shot a bear that was brown in color.
Yeah.
And he got, it was a polar bear that was brown. And it was an example of a Pisley.
Okay.
Its mom was a polar bear and its father was a grizzly. And this is coming more and more and more often with the melting ice caps in these areas. Where polar bears are running out of habitat and coming inland. It's becoming a really big problem because polar bears are not doing well.
Yeah.
Because they're ice sheet hunters. They only eat like hyper for 6 months out of the year, and they kind of hibernate for the rest.
Yeah.
So they're not getting that food stored. So they're coming inland.
What they're used to, yeah.
And they're coming into villages and stuff like that because it's especially the areas that it smells like fish.
And they're doing it with the grizzlies.
Yeah, because they're having trouble finding mates.
Right. Yeah.
I wouldn't. That is a ballsy grizzly
to come down or to
try to put the moves on a
polar bear. Yeah. Yeah.
Polar bears are a lot bigger than grizzlies.
Right. Yeah.
First off, second off, they're a lot meaner.
Oh yeah.
You see people like there's that video, that big grizzly bear that's on the trail that walks right by these guys.
Oh yeah.
And the guys react perfectly. They're like, "Hey bear," and the grizzly looks at him and keeps walking.
Yep.
Because they're not scared of it, but they're not running away from it, but they're not endangering the bear itself.
As opposed to the photographer who was photographing that polar bear.
Here's the thing with polar bears. A human is always food.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was
always.
They was trying hard to get to him.
He was that. So that was the famous polar bear proof cube.
Yeah.
He went to test it.
Yeah.
And after about 30 minutes, he wasn't so sure.
No, I wouldn't be. That thing was not giving up.
Well, it was finding the corners.
Yeah.
And working the plexiglass.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Bulletproof glass. It was working it, and it was pushing, and yeah, they will eat you.
I would have been. I mean, that is straight up.
So
right out of a nightmare.
And then there's hybrid gigantism and hybrid vigor.
Yeah.
Where a lot of the times they're sterile.
But the offspring's big.
They're a lot bigger than both parent. And they can look a lot different than both parent. It's not like, ligers are massive and they kind of look like a liger tiger hybrid.
Yeah.
But they don't have to look like that. They can look very different from both parents because they're expressing very unique traits.
Right, yeah. And not like the okapi where a giraffe and a zebra got together.
Yeah.
And it just created a mix of both of them. That is what that looks like, though. It's just nuts, but not at all. Not at all true.
So what if that's what's happening? Is it's just different bears from around the world hybridizing and making these monsters.
Well, that would explain why they're so rare.
Yeah.
And why you only see like one in a region if you do see it. Because if it is sterile. Now, I've heard things too where some of those animals aren't.
It depends on how closely related they are.
Yeah. Yeah. They can come out and have viable offspring. But for the most part, yeah, they are sterile.
Yeah. It depends. It really depends on how closely the species is related.
Yeah.
Like there are a bunch of these species that are very, like there's leopard lion hybrids, I believe.
Oh, cool.
I can't remember what they're called. They have a weird name, just like, a pizzly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But they are very, ligers are sterile, but I think they may be fertile if I remember right.
Yeah.
Because leopards are much more closely related to a lion. They're all in Panthera.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, panthers.
So yeah, if they let's say two different species did have a offspring, and it grows up giant, and let's say that is what is that word? Fertile. Viable. Yeah. And then there's that gene that's just in there, that might express itself, down the line, like we said, 2 or 3 generations later, might be another giant that just pops out because it had giants in its past. I don't know.
So I think that could be, but I don't know. Let's just get to the elephant in the room.
All right.
These are short-faced bears.
All of them are just short. Is it
Not
been
all
45
of them,
minutes?
Huh?
Has it been 45 minutes since your prediction?
It's been 46.5.
Perfect. So you're right.
For short-faced bears.
Yeah.
A lot of these are short-faced bears.
And short-faced bears, we do have historical evidence of them.
I got a whole big thing on short-faced bears.
Oh, let's just dive right into it.
So uncovering the mystery of short-faced bears is the name of this article we're going to use. So short-faced bears, also known as, do you remember the scientific name?
I do, but I don't know.
Arcturus.
Yeah, something
is
like
an extinct species that roamed North America, or roamed the Earth thousands of years ago. This fantastic creature, it has puzzled scientists for decades. It is thought through years of research and fossil discovery, we are beginning to uncover the secrets of its origin, physical characteristics, habitat, diet, and ultimately its extinction, with quotes.
Ooh.
Join us as this journey as we dive into. This is a fun article. So origins of short-faced bear. It was during the Pleistocene epoch is when it kind of came around at 800,000 years ago.
Okay.
So relatively new as far as mammals.
Yeah.
Bears took over a lot of niches for a long time. Bear dogs, which were, the ancestors of both, canids and ursine.
Okay.
If you look at bears and canines, they have a lot of similarities
right,
because they're not that far related from each other.
Okay.
We could almost domesticate bears if they just had a little bit more social structure.
Some people in Russia have.
No, the bear man was eaten.
Well, that's different.
Yeah, that was his quote unquote. Yeah, bears are not pets.
No. But I've seen some. They wrestle them. They got trained in circus, riding
bikes. And then
bikes.
one time they taste your blood, and then they eat your liver.
Right.
This time significant global changes were happening, shaping the landscape that short-faced bears would inhabit. The glaciers receded, vast grasslands opened up. An open habitat was created, providing a perfect environment for the species to evolve and flourish. So this geological era, short-faced bears, the Pleistocene era, this time characterized by dramatic climate fluctuations. The era witnessed several ice ages, causing shifts in vegetation and forcing animals to adapt rapidly. So at this time is when these ice sheets were coming and going very fast.
Okay.
Where we were under ice and then we'd be not, and then so stuff like mammoths and all, all that stuff was coming around. The short-faced bears is uniquely set up for its characteristics. It was one such remarkable adaptation. Its survival during these challenges, environmental conditions, showcase its remarkable resilience and adaptability.
Okay.
So this is a weird animal to go extinct.
Yeah, if it's so resilient and can adapt to any environment.
And they were amazing apex predators, but they were also foragers.
Okay.
During this era, the short-faced bears coexisted with the iconic megafauna, such as woolly mammoth and saber-toothed cats.
Mm.
These interactions between different species shaped its ecological dynamic of this time, with each species playing a crucial role in its maintaining a delicate balance of its ecosystem. While the short-faced bear was an impressive size and strength, and it was a formidable predator, it had long legs in the front and a slender build, allowing it to cover great distances in search of prey. It primarily fed on large herbivores, such as bison and horses.
Those are pretty big.
But what do we talk about with these booger bears, these bulldog bears?
What, going after bison and carrying them off in their mouths?
The one was called a bison killer.
Yeah.
And the moose killer.
Dang.
Using its powerful jaws and sharp claws to down its quarry. So unlike grizzly bears, which this thing is quite a bit larger than a grizzly bear.
You're right.
its jaw was set up to kill animals.
Just a crunch.
Yeah. It was much more bulldog shaped, and we'll talk about its physical characteristics in a minute. Like I said, it was the first glance, a short-faced bear stood out among its competitors. It possessed several unique physical characteristics that set it apart from most other bear species. The short-faced bear, also known as Arcadus simus, was an awe-inspiring creature that roamed the earth from the Pleistocene. Its imposing presence was part of what made it an extremely formidable predator in its environment. The short-faced bear was a true giant, towering over almost all modern-day relatives. It reached a height of up to 12 feet when it was standing upright.
Jeez.
Which I believe the biggest polar bear is 8 or 9 feet.
Gosh.
Which is still massive.
I'm just picturing a 12-foot, because I can imagine a basketball.
The bus is 9 foot tall.
Oh, yeah. I always just imagine a basketball hoop, at 10 feet. And I know how tall that is above me.
So keep in mind, a polar bear I think the max is like 9 feet. Phew. So this is 3 or 4 feet taller than the max polar bear.
Which means how much wider it would be then,
so much heavier.
Yeah.
Making it the largest bear that ever existed. Imagine encountering a bear twice the size that of the biggest polar bears today.
Gosh dang.
Weight-wise.
Isn't that as big as that outside of, what is that? Cabela's? Is that what it is?
Yeah, so that thing's, I think, 12 or 13 foot tall.
Jeez, yeah, the big bear statue out in front of it.
Yeah, Cabela's in Dundee, Michigan.
Yep.
Is that? Yeah, it's Cabela's. And now it's Bass Pro.
Is it Bass Pro now?
Yeah, they're all Bass Pro.
Oh, okay.
Bass Pro 1.
Well, either way, those stores, yeah, if you see the giant bear statue, there you go. Good example.
So due to its immense size, it was able to adapt and allowed it to dominate pretty much every environment it was in or intimidate potential threats.
Mm-hmm.
So they were big enough to pretty much dominate whatever local competition they had.
Right.
We're talking the smilodons, the saber-toothed cats, but also things like modern-day wolves and dire wolves. But they were also big enough that they were too much to mess with.
Right, yeah.
So those are all their predators that were hunting in competition or in packs.
They're like the blue whales of the woods.
Except they were predators also.
Oh, yeah, that too.
But stuff like giant ground sloths would often leave them alone. These things were we'll talk about eating mammoth calves.
Dang. Well, yeah, why not?
You're talking about things that we're eating. We're talking about polar bears and grizzly bears struggling today, eating stuff like bison. These guys were taking on mammoth calves.
This is scarier than cocaine bear.
Imagine this thing got cocaine.
Yeah.
With its colossal proportions, the short-faced bear possessed an incredible amount of strength. Its muscular limbs and robust frame enabled it to take down extremely large prey with ease. So we're talking about, like I said, once again, modern-day bears struggling with bison and moose calves. This thing was eating those like it was nothing. So this bear was definitely a force to be reckoned with. Despite its massive size, it was actually surprisingly agile.
Even scarier.
So unlike modern-day bears being clumsy,
this
thing had very long legs and a flexible spine, allowing it to swiftly move and efficiently change direction.
Yeah, how would these things go extinct?
We'll get to that. In combination with its size and agility, it was mostly a highly effective predator, capable of chasing down prey over long distances. So this thing was much like early humans.
Yeah.
It would just keep chasing prey until the prey was exhausted. And by the time it caught you, you were done. Like, you were screwed.
Oh, for sure.
This was often what we think maybe led to so horses have been in North America twice.
Okay.
The first North American species of horse that came over in the land bridge went extinct. And then we brought horses back over, and horses went wild again.
Oh, okay.
So the modern-day wild horses out in the West and in Canada and stuff are not the same species that was originally the wild horses in North America.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. But yeah, so they maybe went extinct because short-faced bears were eating them all.
Goodbye, horses.
Unique facial structure. So this is where we get into some of the connections with these cryptids we've been talking about. So one intriguing feature of the short-faced bear was its distinctively shortened face.
Right.
Which derives its name from. Its characteristics coupled with the wide nasal opening and large eye sockets suggest adaptations for increased respiratory and enhanced visual accuracy.
Makes sense.
So these guys were extremely good at had extremely good sight.
Yeah.
The wide nasal openings of the short-faced bear allowed a greater air intake, enabling them to breathe more effectively during intense physical activities. So these were not the lazy modern-day bears that we kind of think about.
Yeah.
These were giant, active predators. And its adaptation would allow it to have been particularly advantageous for a pursuit of fast-moving prey. So why stuff like terror birds and smilodons went extinct is they were much more bulkier. You think big cats today, a lot of them are fast and agile.
Right.
Smilodons weren't. They were big apex predators made to take down large, heavy-set mammals. These guys were kind of the opposite, even though they were huge.
Yeah.
They were made to chase prey over long distances. So a lot of the prey that
And just
survived,
maul them when they get there.
a lot of the prey that survived the mass extinction were the fast-moving prey.
Okay.
So their prey didn't go extinct during the
yeah.
end of the last ice age.
Makes sense.
But I'm just saying, why did they go extinct? It's just one of these points to why they went extinct. Or did they?
Yeah, exactly. That's
yeah.
the big key.
And they fought each other often. So furthermore, these large eye sockets of the sword-faced bear indicate that it was exceptional vision. Its ability to see was clearly over a long distance and would have been crucial for locating prey and detecting potential threats in its expansive habitat. The unique facial features, combined with its powerful jaws and sharp teeth, made the short-faced bear an extremely formidable predator. It could deliver a bone-crushing bite, capable of immobilizing prey in a single bite.
It's basically a giant chow.
If it bit you, you were done.
Yeah.
I'm talking large animals, not us. It could bite us in half.
Oh, yeah, easily. It could probably swallow half of us.
A weird side effect of having this weird facial structure is that it almost looked ape or human-like, staring right at you. And this could be, once again, connecting to the cryptids where some of these bulldog bear or ape bear characteristics come from.
Yeah.
It did kind of have a vaguely human-ish face when it was staring right at you.
Would that be pareidolia or?
A little bit.
A little bit.
And we see this with other animals, with kind of shorter, like smug faces.
Yeah.
Like gorillas don't have a nose.
Right,
Like us,
exactly.
but they look amazingly human.
Yeah.
So these guys would kind of fall into that too.
Okay, that makes sense.
These guys, their habitat range was immense. Everything from the cold, north to the prairies to forest. These guys were found in every habitat in the Americas. So their geological distribution, fossils of short-faced bear have been discovered from North America, from Alaska to Mexico. A wide distribution suggests a remarkable adaptability to different ecosystems. Like I said, from the frozen tundra to the arid deserts, these guys were found. Mm-hmm. These did not care what environment they were in. They would find a niche.
So, that explains a lot of these accounts all over the world.
And once again, they were found in Russia as well, in pretty much the northern hemisphere.
Yeah.
And there are some debates that they made it all the way into South America.
Why not?
There was not much stopping them.
No, exactly.
Yeah. I would love to see a fight. There's a couple paintings of these guys fighting giant ground sloths.
What do you mean? Oh gosh, short-faced bear versus giant ground sloth?
And yeah.
That would be one heck of a battle.
Yeah. That would be the battle to see.
That's the main event at the Roman Colosseum.
Yeah. Because giant ground sloths were one of the few animals besides these guys that could push off smilodons and these big cats from their prey.
Yeah.
There's a lot of evidence suggesting smilodons fought giant ground sloths. Mm-hmm. I don't think they were fighting these short-faced bears.
No, I don't think it would end well.
Because giant ground sloths weren't extremely flexible.
Yeah, but they could. Yeah, if they swiped at you and they got you.
Yeah, these guys were extremely flexible.
Yeah.
There's not a spot you could get on their body they couldn't get you.
Okay, gotcha.
So the diet and hunting techniques. Short-faced bears' dietary preference and hunting techniques are critical aspects for their survival. They would it depends on which habitat they were in, because we have a lot of their coprolites or stool, left over from their environments. Despite their name, the short-faced bear did not limit itself to small prey, because that's short name. Mm-hmm. It consumed mammals such as rodents and deer. So small prey. It even preyed on mammoths.
I was going to say, how is deer small? But when it compared to mammoth.
Bison, horses, and even mammoths were a part of its diet. Its ability to take down such large prey was requiredly incredible for its strength and skill. So, like I said, they would kind of fit whatever role they would fall in.
Yeah.
Whether they were eating rodents, like we have a lot of their scat that was rodents.
With mouse bones in it? Yeah.
They were digging them up in the winter and stuff like that. So these guys were not passing up on prey.
No. You don't get that big without eating literally everything.
So like I said, their hunting strategies were from everything from, speed, chasing down, horses, to battling it out with mammoths, to, slowly stalking frogs and mice.
Gosh. Isn't that the legend of the Devil's Tower, too? It was a short-faced bear climbing
a giant bear clawed it out.
Yeah.
Trying to get the guys. So extinction theories. While the short-faced bear reigned supreme for hundreds of thousands of years, its existence eventually came to an end. Several theories have emerged regarding this reason behind its extinction, but none have really come full circle with it. The short-faced bear continued to thrive up to 10,000 years ago when it disappeared from the fossil record. Probably because it wasn't enough time to fossilize.
Yeah, true.
This time concluded with the end of the Pleistocene era and the extinction of several iconic megafauna. So a lot of megafauna went extinct about 100,000 years ago, and then a lot of them again went extinct 10,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And we don't really know why the 10,000 one was.
mean,
there's all this thing with the meteor impact, the giant lightning storms, you know, and
something happened.
And that, you know, that could be a good example of why it went extinct. Let's say it was the giant lightning storm theory.
Yeah.
Big mammals couldn't hide as easy.
Right.
You know, it was not saying they couldn't get into a cave like we, you know, but big mammals like mammoths and, you know, stuff like that. It was hard.
Especially if it happens suddenly, which a lot of the evidence shows.
It does.
Something happens suddenly.
But the scientists, everything from climate change, loss of habitat, which I don't agree with either of those. As far as I do believe in climate change. You know, the Earth's climate has changed multiple times.
But we've already determined these things can live.
Adapt and everything. They were living in the arid deserts and the tundra.
Exactly.
So what are you going to throw at it?
That it can't. I guess.
I guess the dinosaurs' mass extinction would probably been because there wouldn't have been no food left over.
Yeah.
But you know, a climate change, you know, sort of world ending.
What are you going to throw at it besides, you know, a mass lightning storm throughout the world?
Like I said, the habitat loss is another one that I don't agree with because their habitat, you know, ability was everything.
Yeah, exactly.
There wasn't much that they...
Unless the Earth blows up.
Yeah.
That's about the only way it can have habitat loss.
A really big one was competition with humans.
Now, that one I would believe the most.
Because humans, like giant ground sloths, we were their final nail in their coffin.
Yeah, exactly.
People. Not saying that we caused their extinction, but we were definitely the final nail.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were scary, and they would destroy villages and huts.
And so we destroyed them first.
Killed them all.
Yeah.
And these guys were even more so.
And so, I mean, I would believe that because it's just what we do. I mean, I don't think there's any animal we cannot tame or destroy.
Here's one I don't agree with, too. This is the big pushing theory. Okay. This is the big theory. Is their prey disappearance, their primary prey disappearance. They said most megafauna went extinct. Before, you know, the 1600s, bison were fine.
Everywhere.
Bison were here in Ohio. Bison were in the Yukon. Bison were in Mexico.
I mean,
bison were fine.
Before the U.S. military went and
that's
systematically killed them all.
So the bison survived. Moose and elk and deer, you know, they had plenty of food.
All made it.
Other bears, you're not going to tell me these things were not eating grizzly bears.
Right.
And, you know, other big cats and stuff like whatever they could catch, they were eating.
Right. And they could catch anything, it sounds like.
So, in conclusion, nobody quite knows why these guys went extinct. And in my opinion, they never went extinct. They were probably like most apexes in small numbers. Mm-hmm. Very secretive. And their competition with humans probably put them closer to extinction. And we're just seeing the relic of their population.
Right, yeah.
That they are living in they're living, a lot of the early stories I told you about the Bulldog bears and the Western bears, the bison eating bears.
Yeah.
We're on the verge of human expansion, white person settlement here in North America, to where we were killing mass numbers of animals very quickly. You know, the Native Americans did a pretty good job of living in unison with the environment and understanding.
Right.
So this may have what pushed them to the edges. That this population of short-faced bears was not barely surviving, but surviving in very limited numbers.
Right.
And then we came through and pushed them to the edges. It's like the Yukon beaver eater was this, you know, this monster we talked about, I think on Patreon. But this giant that would come out and eat, you know, open up giant beaver dens and eat all the beavers in it.
Yeah.
And that's believed to be a short-faced bear. This South America, this Russia, you know, these areas we're seeing them now.
Very isolated and,
Very isolated. And they're attacking megafauna.
Right, yeah.
That's what they're eating. You know, these things are talked about eating bison and moose, and they're humongous.
Insane.
People don't realize, like, you know, polar bears are huge.
Right.
This thing is twice the weight easy.
Which is
of a polar bear.
Just insane.
Easy.
To even think it was like to put in, I don't know, to imagine it in front of you, I almost can't. It's as big as this room.
I mean, you could probably fit two of them in here.
Maybe.
They wouldn't be happy about it.
No, not at all.
But you could probably fit them in here. I think the room's actually, you couldn't. The room's only 11 foot by 11 foot.
Yeah, not happening.
You couldn't fit him in here.
No,
just 12 foot long.
Just one. And he'd be all curled up.
He wouldn't be happy. You'd have to do him diagonal.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think that's what we're seeing, at least for the most part.
Yeah,
remnant short-faced bears.
I'm agreeing with you on this one.
And I think it's weird that it overlaps. And I don't think... See, all this stuff with a lot of these mammals going extinct, like the mastodons and mammoths, they went extinct because of bison, in my opinion. Humans were definitely the final nail, and like a lot of the megafauna.
Right, yeah.
But they couldn't compete. So if you watch the extinction or the timeline extinction of mammoths, it directly correlates with stuff like bison. So they were doing the same migratory path. They moved a lot quicker. They were in bigger herds. So they were eating the mammoth out of home. So when the mammoths would come out of the north and go into the south for the migratory path, all the food was already gone by the time they got here.
Bison already went through it.
Yeah, they were, they were just giant grazers. So by the time they were going extinct because of competition.
Yeah.
They couldn't compete. They had super long gestation compared to bison.
Yeah.
Their herds were a lot smaller, and they just couldn't compete. That makes more sense to me than this thing. This thing, there's not a lot that it couldn't compete with.
Right, exactly.
Or find a different niche.
Right.
They took every niche. Like I said, these things were eating rodents and mammoths.
Mammoths.
There's not a lot in between that they weren't tackling.
Oh, clearly, yeah. There's not everything falls in between there.
So, like I said, this is part 1 of giant bears.
Nice.
Part 2 will be in a couple months. I haven't written down. And it'll be more about the giant polar bear like creatures being seen.
Okay.
Because they're seen all over the northern hemisphere.
Yeah.
These giant white bears, the spirit bears, and they're a little different. They're definitely, these guys aren't not aggressive.
Yeah.
Because obviously, breaking into houses and eating people. The giant white bears are more
Aggressive?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Well, that'll be a fun one.
Even near Port Lock, there's been a couple giant white bears. There you go.
Little teaser. Little teaser.
Bigfoot and the giant white bears.
I like it.
Anything to add?
No, I like this one. This is pretty interesting. Short-faced bears. Comment down below. They still around? They still exist?
If I remember, I'll put that as a poll on Spotify.
There we go. Yeah.
If I remember. I have been the great and powerful mystery.
I've been J Clone 40.
No, 60 something.
61. 60.
I don't know. Turn around. I can't see the back of your head.
Oh, shoot.
But we'll catch you next week with more Cryptids of the Corn.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Cryptids of the Corn podcast.
Please share with a friend you think would like us. It's the best way to help our show grow.
Leave a comment, rate us, a 5-star review, and remember, there is always extra content on Patreon/cryptidsofthecorn.com.
And don't forget, stay magical.